ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 1. The mud on my shoe wants to control my point of view, believing he has that power cause he stood on my toes. It's real in the field, seeing a man from far, fussing with toil, kicking his feet in the air, yelling at soil. Would leave anyone scared. What's gotten into that poor man? He's lost his mind. Just keep away. Those around see me in a different light, not close enough to know the cause of my woes. And why, as if I appear as a man so succumbed by anger, I've lost control. Now with mud on my soul, mud even on my face and clothes, listening to those who claim to know a way to get rid, leaning in close when they tell me of their experience and tricks. Wisdom brings my heart back to life, filled with tries and hope, only to find lies in the words they had spoke. At least that's how it seems. My only want was to be clean. Now I've got this mud all over me, and it won't leave. Yo, ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 2. Oh, Wi-Fi, tell me, why is our relationship so one-sided? They claim that I use you. Tell the truth. It's you who's got me searching for more. Scrolling down, and I hate it when I see that icon scrolling around. It's time now that you be fair. After all that we've been through, it's not right that you dictate to me that I can stand here, but not there. I've watched you grow over the years and develop, from your early stages when you used to move so slow. 5 years later, now look how you've grown, spread throughout the globe, taking control. They say it's not long until cars will be drove, seconds to download movies on phones. What's next, God only knows. And just like everything in life that grows to such heights, they want to blame you as the reason. Coming down to the fight over you, knowing that the future of economies wouldn't survive without you by their side. Alone thrive or strive forward. The rumors that spread even sounded awkward. How could you have caused it to arrive? This parasite I won't name, other than it ends in 19. Alright, I'll play the game. I could see how radiation may be a cause for concern. To my limited knowledge of medicine, and that's the truth. Surely it would damage cells, but not produce. It must be a ruse. They keep around to throw us off the real target. Being made to stay at home because of economic wars. 5G was the cause, slipping through the fattest fingers on pause, greedy for more, all part of the plan. You see, I'm here, I understand. All I want in return is that you don't cut out when I upload to Instagram. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 3. It was fun in the beginning but soon faded, like turned pages becoming beige the further they age in the sun. What changed? We used to walk beneath the stars at night, so consumed with the shape of the moon, reflecting how I fell for you. From when it was slight, to full shining bright, to when it declined, slipping further into the night, wishing I could bring it back to at its height, but this has been going on for far too long. Still searching, but it's gone. All I see is a shadow of what used to be, with no face or response when a gesture of goodwill is made, as if it were afraid to come out into the open, share with me once again that hope that caused us to feel so light on our feet we could float into that same night sky. When was it around me you became so shy? I reach out my hand once more to try, and you disappear with the coming of the light. Goodbye. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 4. You've got some nerve, asking for money, won't even open your door. How would you receive it? What is this, Star Trek? Am I Spock? Do you want me to beam it? I almost couldn't believe when I seen it, but oh, believe it. These are just the types of conversations we go through. I have my points of view, they have theirs. Both compelling arguments, but they don't care. Asking me to shoulder the burden, but won't share. I ask him in the name of all that's fair. They tell me that's the reason I shouldn't despair. Wait a minute. What is this banquet of double standards? I thought we're in this together. You tell me wait here, you're going inside, and we'll be back with good news very soon. And that's what I do. Stand out in the cold where I was left. So cold I can see my breath. Until it starts to pour down, holding a newspaper over my head to stop from being drowned. Then seeing you hours later, come out bellies full with a toothpick hanging out your mouth, handing me what was left over with a smile, telling me here, take a hold. Now, let's get out of here. It's getting cold. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 5. 10 years in, went by in a blink. Blinded to the future 10 years ago, I never would think I'd be here today where I am. It's always hard to pinpoint the exact moment you go from being a boy to a man. But I'm sure it was somewhere along the course of them, when I see where I am now, and where I was then, in a much better place. Then again, who knows? Maybe in another 10 years, looking back on today, I'll say the same. So we're spending our lives anticipating that moment we're finally grown, coming into our own. And what will it mean? All of our dreams come true overnight? It wasn't so much what I dreamed, but got to overcome battles and survive. Growing more wise, calculated decisions before tries, of the truth less shy, confident enough to be on my own, alone with my thoughts. How quickly they went by. Reminded how a year used to feel like forever. Now realizing how 10 is only just time. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 6. I'm trying to move faster than light, cause once it's on me there's no escape. Everyone knowing my business, and some things I'd like to keep to myself, for my own health if nothing else. I don't see the reason why feeding into that way of life, building hype so much so everyone knows what you did that day before it reaches night, is desired by so many. I may be alone in this, but to me it seems like loneliness. Sharing your life online for strangers to view, sacrificing that time with those who know you. Numbers climb on likes, emptiness does too. When it's that you let determine as your value. And it's true, we all seek to be liked to some extent, expecting thousands instead only receiving 10. Got me thinking, well, what's the point? Until my pad hits the pen, I'm uploading again. Don't tell me I'm caught in that same way of life. Comment if I'm not. If I am, give a like. It's mad when you see your tries seem like they failed. Either way, it's through my tries I hope to prevail. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 7. Alhamdulillah, so far this Ramadan has been less tense. More time to reflect. Space to move at my own pace, not racing against the clock at a loss. Of course I miss the mosque. What bothers me most is Friday prayer and me not being there. Concerned it will be brought against me on the day when scales are weighed with no escape. The good thing though, having nowhere to go, is not having to worry about being late. Those stressful times spent in traffic watching minutes climb closer towards the time I was supposed to have arrived, feeling the pressure rise, and why? Nothing much else I could have done. Straining my health to please others over myself. If there's anything I could take with me, I've learned back into the world when it returns, is to take my time, be at ease. The goal is peace, not just to please. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 8. With my imaginary friends I've argued too many times. To the point now, it feels awkward to apologize. Running through different scenarios in my mind, spilling out into the open. Catching myself saying out loud what I wish I'd said in the moment. Playing over again in my head. Oh, those same friends have real faces and names of people I know. That's why it's not fair. How those others get away unscathed and it's them I take it out on when my temper's frayed. I always have something smarter to say. To tell the truth, I don't know why they stick around. To witness such abuse, in my imagination I never lose. Neither would you. So what do they have to gain? Reliving games played, the things that people had to say, me using them as a punching bag to train for the next time we're engaged in something of the same. That's it. I've had it. I'm going back into the real world, fully armed in the name of justice. But that's just it. In my mind, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only place it really lives. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 9. The rabbit hole is real, a phrase worth its weight in gold. 24 carats far from embarrassed, how many a time have I found myself within its barracks, crawling underneath the earth's crust. Just enough to find that once more wasn't just, and instead leaning on the lines of far too much. But in this tight space I'm stuck, with no other options but to push on, following that white rabbit in this false reality, but I'm not the one. At least that's what I thought. Dodging bullets from the haters like lasers, propped up like I was on a kickstand, slipping further in like quicksand, so deep I didn't realize. Woke up to find I'd fallen asleep with my phone in my hand, thinking the Matrix had a hold of me. Later in my kitchen, remembering that time he made spoons bend with his mind, thinking I should try, then swearing that's the last time I spend all night online. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 10. Who is this strange person looking back at me in the mirror? No way they resemble my build or shape. I'd have to gain far too much weight. Hey, you, mirror on the wall. Yeah, I'm talking to you. What do you gain by playing this game? Trying to hurt me within, by making me appear less thin? I have a mind to complain. Who's your manufacturer? Made in Taiwan. I'ma email them tonight. Oh, don't worry, I'll be polite. Dear Mr. Original China, I hate to justify the uprise, but perhaps you are more suited to making pots and plates. Upon much reflection, it is with much ache I must take this time to address this issue. Staring me in the face every time I walk into the hallway, it would appear your product is faulty and exaggerates. Now it's fair to say, I haven't tested this on anyone else but myself, but my own testimony should be suffice. Please help put this right. Awaiting your response. Sincerely yours. P.S. To prove I'm sure, I look much slimmer in the window at night, stood at a certain angle in a much dimmer light. That's why I say there's no way that this can be right. Awaiting your reply. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 11. They say money changes souls, it's not hard to see why. When those around see you in a different light, as if overnight you became someone new, elevated. See what that paper will do? When stacked right, reaching new heights you never thought you'd see. When scratching for change, that itch no longer there, Sergeant, we're talking Major P. The one that goes around with the stick pointing down, firmly placed in the ground, capital, in notes and accounts, causing drool to run out of mouths, and fools to run around like clowns to amuse you for their weight in pounds. Dollars and cents, how it all makes a difference. This material figment can change the way you live, start up businesses, develop witnesses who would break their backs to say they witnessed never having witnessed it. Because of the crowds, the possessor becomes proud, walking around yelling out orders as if he were thinking out loud. To them, you were nothing before, and when it's gone, you'll be the same. Just another one of that crowd running around someone else that's been bestowed upon. And so, the question is posed. Would you rather be rich or healthy? And bear in mind, no one cares if you're not wealthy. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 12. Oh Netanyahu, sounds like you're the secret CEO of 3 companies, Netflix, LinkedIn, and Yahoo. Wearing stockings under your suit, confused just like your message but never short of the avenues to go through. Promoting your agendas to the West, they agree for the sake of their bank. Weaponized planes and tanks, allowing you to take more land than that it got took. All you need is a house of mirrors and a robotic hand, cause man, you come straight out of a comic book. The evil genius with a cheap haircut plots to take over the world for what? So you can remain only half a man, standing in the shadow of an American with his trousers halfway to his knees, leaning over while you kiss his cheeks. The jig is up. It's over like your comb over, parted to the side, just like the soldiers that enforce your apartheid. If you were really so sure your theology's right, you'd wish to die, for nothing in this life is better than paradise. But you and I both know that's not your goal, and never has been, for a soul so corrupted to dream. Ironic seeing how years down the line from genocide a member of that tribe would oppress others as if itself were a part of the Nazi regime. Your motives are simple. It's clear. A 2-bit shady businessman moving out of fear. Oddly, the only complicated thing is figuring out if you're Derek or Rodney. With your yellow stained teeth from all that cheese, high cholesterol it shows in your glands. Needless to say, I'm not a fan, and that land will never belong to you. It'll only ever belong to the righteous man. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 13. I'm a bullet in a chamber, and right now your fingers conveniently squeezing tightly around my trigger, as if you had no perception of danger. That's the real killer, the hands of stupidity, expecting me to show pity, when the foolish news of someone thinking it was cool to play around with that which was never meant to be played around with, and found out the hard way of the staring him in the face the whole day. But wasn't until night fell did it spell for them the truth. The headstrong are in no way bulletproof. Those who throw their weight around have something to prove. The ones who remain silent take it as a sign. Don't mess with them. Deductions of points when you neglect the rules. Standing on the wrong man's toes, you only stand to lose. But what's all this anger and frustration? Lockdown shouldn't take away me exercising patience. Here's to that hour a day where I get to stretch my legs and walk around the block. Shying away from people I see cough. Suspicious of that woman the other day who was lost, and I had to stop to hear what she had to say. All the while trying to help but keeping 2 meters away. Enough is enough. God willing, we're over this. Let's have it over with. I know I'm not alone when I say we've been over it and over it, but now's about time that the world was open again. ALMUJAHID, Ramadan Sessions, Part 14. Shooting laser beams from their eyes, the heat turns my face red, trips me up from my step, slipping on words taking me twice to catch my breath, making me ask why share if it's not received well, burning inside jealous envy giving them hell, climbing the staircase to success they're wishing I'd fell, lasers engaged, eyes beginning to swell. In the room of 2 smiles, one does so without pride, the other only to disguise the enemy hiding their true energy, spilling through their eyes, creating an entity so bright in the pitch black of night those laser beams illuminate their dreams. replaying that day, what they had seen and what they had wished it to be. I feel them coming, they're close. The burning on my shoulder lets me know I feel the heat. It must be only a few feet. Turning around to see smiles and laughter, seeming happy to see me when they greet, but not genuinely. For laser beams flare in the mid-conversation stare at the new pair of kicks I chose to wear. Beware. ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 15. We came a long way, that's for sure. I know a brother who went from living like Tupac to Sheikh Abdul Shakur, and he knows me from before. Two outlaws, this life is raw to a life that's pure. No way is this an anecdote to promote past ways as a standard. Instead, my anthem, to chime to myself not to take Allah's blessing and guidance for granted. Only 10 years ago, looking back, what a short distance. Now look at the difference. Trying to escape for so long, never took that time to reflect. Instead pushed on forward to avoid swimming in thoughts of regret. And yet, before I regress, I must remind myself, if that progress was wealth, I would never splurge. Rendering myself penniless, I'd resist the urge. When temptation slams my door out of ignorance to provoke that ignorant side of me from when I was broke. Keeping the same analogy to react. If Iman was a bank account, keep calm and collect racks. Any other energy isn't worth the impact. Facts. ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 16. My wife said she doesn't love me for my money. I said that's not true. She said it is. I said I'm gonna give my money away today and let's see if you stay. She said okay. That's how it all began. First off was the trip to the bank. They said they didn't have that much on hand and gave me what they can. I said that's fine. I'll be back for the rest. In the meantime, maybe she'll forget and think I was saying what I said out of jest. From the bank walking with cash in hand and a spirit like no other. I seen a brother pass, giving me salam. So I stopped and gave him $1,000. I had to do all I can for him not to refuse, it's true. He didn't want my money in return, so I told him why. And then learned there'd been a foundation raising funds for patients of poor health that needed that kind of help. So I said, here, in that case, take another one as well. Making my way, seen it was almost noon, so I headed to the mosque. Seen a homeless guy sat outside, so I gave him £500 just to watch my shoes. And when I came back, gave him my watch. Later that day, back at the house, sat at the dinner table with the biggest smile. Could barely keep food in my mouth. She said, what's all that about? I said, don't worry. You'll soon find out. Up the next day, I woke early. She said, where you going? It's the weekend. I said I had some errands to run. I'd call her later. I'm meeting with friends. She rolled over and went back to sleep. I went out and dug deep in my pockets, so deep I couldn't stop it. Ran out of cash so fast, asking to borrow money I'd pay back and giving it to anyone who'd ask. I quickly became the people's champ, holding me on their shoulders with cheers, asking myself why I'd not done this before. This is the type of love I've been searching for years. The night drew to a close. The crowds carried me home, waiting outside to cheer every time they see my face in the window. It came down to the final days. Still in a daze. Bank transfers over the phone. That's when she came with her line of questions, bills and a marker in hand. Did you speak to the bank? Yeah, just yesterday. Why? It says here that you paid for a skiing holiday for 3. You don't know how to ski. It says you bought shares in oil and carpet, a herd of sheep, 2,000 tons of sunflower seeds, and a down payment on a Ferrari for some guy named Ali. Who's he? So I took a deep breath. And I said, remember that time you said you would love me regardless whether or not I had wealth? Look outside in the garden. Now's the time. Ask yourself. ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 17 Desert Rose Part 1. The wind blows the desert sand swirling in its grasp as it plays beneath the blazing sun at the height of its day. Over in the near distance, the entourage sways, side to side on camelback, slinking forward in harmonic rhythm. In the depth of emptiness, its vastness overtakes man's vision. Slowly is the pace. 2 men, 3 camels, one to carry gifts and supplies. Faces on both the leader and guide covered up until their eyes steady as they ride in their traditional robes off the beaten road. An oasis up ahead, sign that they've arrived. The guide climbs down and approaches the tent, announcing their presence, bringing presents. Permission is granted for them to come inside. He hurries back for the gifts. Given the signal, the prince causes his camel to descend, jerking forward at first then back. Both camels outside, tied, being fed. The emir and the guide enter the tent. Greetings are made, told of them having come a long way. Upon hearing the news of a fair maiden of marriageable age, the gifts are displayed. The people learn of his name, and with it his stature and fame. Is with much delight the inhabitants of the tent call for the girl to be sent. To be continued. ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 18 Desert Rose Part 2. Her bangles are heard clanging before she's seen, covered from head to toe in the finest of robes. She enters the room ever so shy, medium height, slim petite, taking a seat by her parents' side. The guide once again introduces the emir, explaining their reason for travel. Her scarf covers her face, alone for her eyes, bright enough to pierce a man's soul. While the family negotiate, feelings between the both begin to grow. Mesmerized at the sight of one another, each engaged in a trance, so much so when asked, almost missing her chance. Well then, her father asks again. She smiles, showing her face. It brightens the room, the prince happy with what he has found. Her silence indication she agrees to him as her groom. Jubilation spread all around. To be continued. ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 19 Desert Rose Part 3. In search of his desert rose now found, how something so beautiful can grow from the harshest of ground, made her beauty that much more profound. Rose petals cover the floor where they walk, incense from the smell of Bahor. The new couple quickly became the town's talk, 2 lovebirds soon awaiting news from the stalk. But as with every story of success, jealousy soon began to manifest in the breasts of those wishing they had for themselves, blaming it on the newcomer's wealth, plotting a plan to take it with stealth and take what was his for themselves. In the heat of the night, laughter fills the air, resting her head on his chest, him caressing her hair. Dreams for the future they share, lost in their own world, names for a baby if it were a boy or a girl. Reminding his bride he knew it was a boy, play fighting they tussle with joy. Meanwhile outside the light of their love in the pitch black, thieves approach from the back, with their swords unsheathed, sneaking towards their attack. ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 20. Our enemies are closing in. I feel the tremor of their steeds on the horizon, hoping to take us by surprise as the sun rises before daybreak. It's for them we await. From the lofty mountain tops, high enough to spot them from afar. Bow and arrow by my side, birds overhead fly, spies taught to circle around those they found in the distance. We remain out of sight, all the while doing our best to anticipate their number. Cornered from both sides, once the position is right, within the valley's mouth we'll circle around the further they head south and attack, leaving them no way out. It was they who sought blood, bringing acts of war to my door. Those of your brave didn't last, the immature went twice as fast. All that's left are viziers and generals at the back, backed into the wall, the mountain's too tall to climb. One tried and took an arrow to the spine, killing him instantly after the fall. Now it's a game of chess. As we move to the rest, they surrender and are placed under arrest, charged with war crimes, pleading their case. A ransom instead will be more profitable than having them dead. At first with no response, the silence is deafening. Once decided on my choice, echoing through the valley my voice when it said, "Off with their heads." ALMUJAHID Ramadan Sessions Part 21. It's now the night becomes its darkest, days become their hardest. Iman begins to harvest, crops of spiritual enlightenment grow. Light fills the eyes, the watery pools of the soul overflow with repentance. Emotion escapes the face, causing the heart to tremor, shaking limbs to their core. Before now was merely preparation for that which is in store. The heart removed from its chest into a bowl and cleansed, then returned back to the body it rents. The wrenching pain descends and is soon replaced with the ascension of spirit. Wings on the butterfly climb to a new majesty of hope, calming the soul only those who've been engaged would know. Traveling through the heavens, never having left the place from which I supplicate, and yet the feeling of my breath of thin air from peak heights, twirling through my chest, stardust spills from my mouth with my silhouette up against the starry background, before all is restored, and I'm brought gently back down.